I've been their biggest defender on the floor of the United States Senate. This guy is a wrecking ball. He had this guy murdered in a consulate in Turkey, and to expect me to ignore it, I feel used and abused. I was on the floor every time defending Saudi Arabia because there's a good ally. There's a difference between a country and an individual. The MBS figure is, to me, toxic. He can never be a world leader on the world stage.
All right, joining us now, former CIA Director John Brennan. He also served as CIA Station Chief in Saudi Arabia for 3 years, and he is currently a senior national security and intelligence analyst for NBC News. Thanks for being on this morning. Sir, on the president equivocating and lying on the world stage about the potential alleged murder of a journalist, why isn't there more pushback from inside his administration, from the foreign policy community, from the national security community, from perhaps the Secretary of State who is there? Why aren't we seeing something stronger, more clear, and more in line with American values?
Well, I think this has been consistent with other instances in the past where individuals have been reluctant to speak out, despite the facts in reality, because Donald Trump is somebody who does not allow that type of dissension and takes it very personally. And I do think that Donald Trump and others right now are trying to find out how they can navigate what is, I think, a very difficult situation, trying to preserve not just the United States relationship with Saudi Arabia, but their own personal relationship with Mohammed bin Salman.
So, Mr. Director, the apparent murder of Jamal Khashoggi took place 15 days ago. Turkish officials, according to published reports, have shared audio recordings of what they say happened, surveillance audio, in the room when Khashoggi was killed with U.S. intelligence. So how much this morning does U.S. intelligence know about the death of Khashoggi?
Well, I think they know a lot more than we know, and I think they've been getting information from their Turkish counterparts, as well as other types of intelligence collection capabilities, technical and otherwise. And that's why they are putting together the picture of what happened for Donald Trump and others. And that's why it makes it very difficult for Trump, as well as Mohammed bin Salman, to concoct some type of cover story, because I think the intelligence is going to belie it.
You've anticipated my next question. So in the morning, when the president gets his briefing, is U.S. intelligence sharing everything it knows about this story with him?
Hopefully they are. And I have confidence that my colleagues are teeing up, at least, to the White House what it is that they know and their capability to collect additional information, and what the Saudis and MBS right now are doing and trying to cover up the story.
So, Mike, when the president goes out and stands there and says, I take the Saudis at their word, they deny it, he's doing that knowing all of what Director Brennan has just told us about what intelligence is sharing with him.
Yeah, and we obviously don't know what's in the presidential daily brief, but I think the director is absolutely right. So let me ask you this. Given everything that we know that's on the public record today because of reporting, it appears that the Crown Prince is tripping right up to the wire of accessory to murder. Given that, given what we know, and given your knowledge of the kingdom, what are they doing to try and save, or how much effort are they putting into trying to save the Crown Prince in concocting a cover story?
Well, Mohammed bin Salman, as Crown Prince, really has a monopoly on power in Saudi Arabia, including in the royal family. And over the years, a number of those powerful princes have either died or he has sidelined and neutralized. And so people are now reporting to him, and I'm sure that he is working with them to try to find out how that they can protect themselves, and most importantly for him, how he can protect himself from being implicated in this. King Salman, if he were in his younger years, I think he would have gotten to the bottom of this, and he wouldn't care even if it was his favorite son that did something like this. I think he would hold him to account. But I don't see who is the independent voice now within the royal family that has the strength and the political fortitude to be able to challenge the Crown Prince on this.
But isn't the assumption built into what you just said that people in the royal family would object to what happened in Istanbul? I mean, we're not, again, I make this point over and over again, we're not talking about Sweden here. This is a country, a royal family, because of course Saudi Arabia is a wholly owned family business. This is a family that uses beheading and crucifixion as forms of the death penalty. This is an absolute monarchy. There's no freedom. They use violence to advance their goals in all kinds of ways. How different is this from the usual order of business in Saudi Arabia that this family has conducted over the years?
I think this is very different. And yes, things happened in the past where the Saudis would engage in these types of horrific and extrajudicial acts that they would carry out. You know, they carry out Islamic law, and so executions, and it's all according to the law. But this goes well beyond anything that I have seen in my history of working in and with the Saudis. And it wouldn't have happened before Mohammed bin Salman had assumed the Crown Prince position. He is the day-to-day decision maker in Saudi Arabia. My counterpart when I was there, Mohammed bin Nayef, we were working very closely with the Saudi intelligence services, trying to professionalize them, trying to make sure that they did adhere to what the requirements are for intelligence and security officials. I think Mohammed bin Salman has thrown that book out the door because he is doing everything he can to continue to consolidate his position and to prevent any type of criticism and opposition from gaining traction that might be threatening to him.
You've said that the Saudis are going to have to choose between their relationship with the U.S. and Mohammed bin Salman, but it sounds to me like you're not sure that there's an alternative. I mean, what does the future of the Saudi government even look like if he can't stay in this position?
Well, it's a good question because there's no clearly anointed successor to that Crown Prince position. And again, I don't know the state of King Salman's current mental health. He is aging, and I don't know whether or not he is able to deal with this effectively. I think Mohammed bin Salman has been very, very scrupulous as far as preventing the king from receiving any information that Mohammed bin Salman does not want. So I think it's a real crisis right now inside of the Saudi government. It is a crisis for U.S.-Saudi relations, and I am hoping that, again, the Congress is going to put the pressure on the administration to get to the bottom of this and hold the Saudis to account. And I think it squarely lies in Mohammed bin Salman's quarter.
I'm interested in your take on something a former CIA officer told me when we were talking about this privately. Effectively, what he says is the Saudi government likes what's happening right now because, number one, they don't think the Trump administration will do anything punitive, anything significantly punitive. But number two, because even the gruesome details that are out in public sends a message to other dissidents and to other journalists that this is what happens when you cross the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that?
No. I think that Mohammed bin Salman would like to stifle and quiet any type of criticism. But clearly, this now is getting to be a Donnybrook. And I think Mohammed bin Salman badly miscalculated the reaction to this. And look what has happened to Davos in the desert. Everybody is pulling back from that. Investments and other types of things. So it's sending a signal to opponents is one thing. But the attendant downsides that are accruing now to the U.S.-Saudi relationship, as well as how individuals, not just Americans, but also Europeans and others, are going to be looking at Mohammed bin Salman. This is a story that's going to continue to play out, I think, in the coming days, weeks, and potentially months.
A man who knows this country and this story all too well, former CIA Director John Brennan. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Willie.
Appreciate it. Still ahead, a recent UN report warned of the catastrophic effects of climate change, but President Trump says not to worry. He has a natural instinct for science. We'll explain next on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.